Summer dress, flip-flops on, singing to that highway song. Got a little naive smile, the kind that drives you out. Nothing like playing with fire, brings boy to life. Be with the fuse you light, you're dynamite. You made my day when you walked and sat down beside me, whispered with your eyes, let's go. You made me say, what's your name, girl, you're lonely. Can I call you if I ever go down this road? And I can't seem to find the thing I wanna say. Girl, you made my day.
The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
14:20 in the morning, 14 minutes and 20 seconds where the sports talk to get you through your daily commute. Hot takes, recaps, best bets, and a little humor to get your day going in the right direction. Sit back, grab your coffee, and let's get into it. 14:20 in the morning for this April the 22nd, 2023. Today's show is brought to you, as every morning for the month of April, is brought to you by Caldera Lab and CalderaLab.com. Use promo code 1420lab at CalderaLab.com for your 20% off men's skin products every day. You got the Clean Slate facial cleanser here and the base layer cream. Keep that youthful exuberance in your face each and every day at CalderaLab.com and use promo code 1420lab for 20% off, like I said. Anyways, it was announced earlier this week. Oh, thank you for making this part of your morning each and every morning here on Facebook and YouTube Live. Anyways, the Major League Baseball announced this week, and more importantly, I guess less importantly, really when it comes down to it, that the Oakland A's are going to be relocating to the greater Las Vegas area. They bought a parcel of land, or it's pending a parcel of land, and everything else. There's some government dots to cover. I guess it's got to happen, and I's to dot and T's to cross to make this all happen. But the Oakland A's are finally, that saga is coming to an end, which is sad for the fans of Oakland. But they're announced that they are basically pending a physical, I guess, that they're going to be moving to Las Vegas. The long storied history of the Oakland A's is coming to an end, which is long overdue, kind of, sort of, but not really. It's sad to see it happen, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen sooner rather than later. Their lease agreement ends at the end of 2024 season. They couldn't come to an agreement with the state of California and with the government of Oakland to get something done in California to keep the A's there in the Bay Area. They're leaving. They're gone. They're see you later. It's a sad thing, but the owners have wanted to leave for quite a long time. There's a reason why they haven't got a deal done. It's because they wanted the state to pay for the whole thing. They wanted Oakland to pay for the whole thing, and the owners didn't want to put any money up. The Oakland A's are a terrible franchise right now. It's a long storied franchise, but right now they are very bad. They got a bad baseball team. Their record's currently 4-16. They very easily could lose 130 games this year, which would be unprecedented. I don't think there's a team ever lose that many games in a Major League Baseball season. But you got to wonder why baseball continues to step on their own face, and the way they let this go for so long and have this draw out. The Oakland fans deserve a lot better than what they've got over the last half dozen years, how they've just let that franchise go away. They've had teams there that have been very good. They've had teams there that have contended, but year after year, the players come in, the players go out because the owners will just not allow it to happen. They won't allow the team because they wanted to leave. They won't allow players. They won't spend any money on players. So then they say, you know what? As soon as you get kind of good, we'll see you later. Josh Donaldson's one of them that they let go very early in his career. He went on to thankfully the Toronto Blue Jays, that he went on for a lot of his better years with the Toronto Blue Jays, then on to Minnesota and Atlanta, and now he's with the Yankees. But Donaldson's just one of a cast of many that was let go of Oakland when he was up for a big payday. You look at guys like Barry Zito. This goes back to the Moneyball days. That Barry Zito, he was let go of his tenure in Oakland because he was going to get paid. And then you have Mark Mulder. He was going to get paid, so he left. Hudson, he was going to go, and that's the only reason why Moneyball actually existed, It was nothing to do with Billy Bean or anything. It was because they had 3 great starting pitchers. That's why they won 20 in a row, and that's why the movie Moneyball exists. So don't let the analytics, don't let the facts get in the way of a good story, I guess. But that's why the Oakland A's were so successful back in 2001. It had nothing, or 2000, yeah, whatever it was, whenever Moneyball was shot. That's the reason why the A's were that good. But it's the end of the Oakland A's. It's the end of an era. They're, like I said, they're going to be done probably this year. They're going to be leaving. They'll get out of their lease a year early. They're going to go to Las Vegas and play in their minor league facility, because even though they have a deal in place, there is no ballpark of major league status in Las Vegas right now. So they are going to be moving probably to Vegas to play in their minor league facility. The Aviators, I think their minor league team is called there. That's the Oakland A's minor league team, actually. So they're going to be moving to Oakland or to Vegas a year early because the stadium will not be ready until 2027. So now you're going to have crowds of less than 3,000, 4,000, which you have in Oakland now because you're playing in a minor league facility, and there won't be any day games because it's 120 degrees there in summertime on a weekend. You're not going to have anybody going to those games. I've been to a game at that minor league facility years ago, and it's hot. It was really, really hot, so no one was there. There was maybe 200 people at a minor league game. So that's what the Oakland A's are going to have for the foreseeable future in Las Vegas. Yeah, they can play some night games here and there, but on Sunday nights you won't have Sunday night games because Sunday night is ESPN, and they have those games booked ahead of time. They're not going to put an ESPN game on a crowd of 3,000 people. They're just not. So you're in a situation now in Las Vegas that will it work? Maybe it'll be a shiny new toy for the people of Las Vegas, like the Golden Knights is. I'm surprised how well that worked, but it will be a good situation for the Oakland A's to move there, to get out of Oakland. It's too bad for the fans, because the fans do go when that team is good, when that team is solid. That team, they get supported like no one's business. I've been to a number of games there over the years. There's the drummers out in right field, that they bang the drums year in, year out. They have good crowds. They get 25,000 when the team's winning. When they're not winning and when the owners don't care, then the people don't show up. And you can't blame people. Nobody goes to a baseball game. Well, I do, but most people don't go to a baseball game to see their team lose, right? And that's what the fans of Oakland have said over the years. They'll watch it on TV. They'll buy the hats. They'll do this, but they aren't going to spend $10, $15, $20, $30 to go to a ticket or to go to a game at a Coliseum. That's an absolute freaking dump. It's a bad place to watch baseball. They have a possum in the press box. I don't know if you guys saw that earlier this week, that there was a possum in the press box. The Mets guys, when they were there earlier this week, and they won 2 or 3 after 3 or they swept games, doesn't much matter. But the Mets broadcast team had to leave their press box location because there's a possum that's terrorizing the broadcasters, so they had to leave. And that place has been a dump for a long time. It's in the middle of nowhere in Oakland. It's in a pretty shady part of, I wouldn't say shady part of town, but it's not in a great part of town. It's very secluded, and there's nothing to keep people going to games. If you go to a baseball game nowadays, most of the fields and most of the renovations, like they have at the Rogers Center in Toronto, most of the new renovations of these ballparks have to do with the fan experience and keeping people engaged, not so much in the game, but away from the game. And that's to bring in revenue, to bring in people, to go out and enjoy themselves, and to see things that are different. Oakland doesn't have that. Oakland is an absolute abomination of a ballpark. It is horrible. It's antiquated, I guess is the proper term. It's not a place that you would bring your family to go to 10 games a year. And it's too bad, because you have a very storied franchise there who's won World Series, who has some of the all-time greats to ever play the game, some of the bigger characters to ever play the game, in Ricky Henderson, in Reggie Jackson, Catfish Hunter, Raleigh Fingers. You go on, and you can add Jose Canseco to that long list of great Oakland A's players that had some great times in the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, and on and on. There's been some of the best stories come out of the Oakland A's franchise, how it's gone now. It's over, and the owners' greed got the best of it, and the owners won. And the owners are always going to win no matter what. They could have had a deal done if they would have paid for a little bit of the franchise, if they would have paid a little bit of the money that they get year in, year out. They get $100 million from Major League Baseball with TV deals. We'll talk about that in a second too. They get a lot of money year in, year out from the TV deals, from Apple, from Major League Baseball, from Amazon, whoever, and they just didn't put money back into the franchise. They don't spend any money on their team whatsoever, and they just expected for this to happen. If you think about it, they wanted to leave. if they wanted to stay, they'd be there. They would have got a deal done because they fronted their own money to get this deal done in Vegas, and they bought a parcel of land, and yes, they got the state of Nevada and the city of Las Vegas to get the deal done, but they fronted some of their own money, which they weren't willing to do in Oakland. And the Oakland government said, you know what, we're not doing this. We have other things we need to pay for. Is the Oakland government a bit wrong? Yes. Should private ownership front most of the money? Yes. But the money that these teams bring in, no matter where you are, the money that these teams do bring into the economy year in, year out, does help things. It brings in different businesses. It brings in different social. It brings in jobs, right? So all these jobs that were in Oakland now, like all the concession servers, yes, they don't make a ton of money, but it's still a job, right? So now you have the Oakland Raiders who are gone. Now you have the Oakland A's who are gone. So where do all these people find other employment? So it does bring it's a socioeconomic thing that these sports teams, as much people don't agree that people think that sports doesn't bring in money. It does. It helps out the economy a lot. You think about the different restaurants and bars and everything else that happens. Look at San Francisco, just across the bay, that revitalized that area of the downtown there. I still call it Pac Bell Park. That Pac Bell's in. That it brings in people and it brings in restaurants. It brings bars and everything else. So it does help. Did the Oakland government screw up? Yes. Did the Oakland A's screw up? Yes. Is everyone to blame? Yes. It's Major League Baseball's to blame. It's a broken system that it's all about money. It's more about money than anything else. Like you look at teams that don't win and that don't bring in people, it's because they don't win. Nobody goes to a baseball game to see their team lose. Nobody goes to a hockey game to see their team lose. You look at the mid 80s to early 90s, those Yankee teams. You watch Don Mattingly, who was his birthday yesterday. Happy 63rd, I think, to Don Mattingly. But you look at those games when Mattingly was playing in the Bronx. That building was empty. There was nobody in the Bronx watching those baseball games, and they were almost moving to Jersey, but they ended up winning, and now the place is packed and everything else. So when teams don't win, you look at no matter what, if your team's not winning, nobody goes. And it's not that you're less of a fan if you don't go to a game. If your team's losing, you're not a fair weather fan. If your team's losing, you just don't want to pay money to see that. Like, you'll sit at home and watch it, absolutely, but you aren't going to pay money to see your team lose, get their teeth kicked in, especially nowadays when you go to a game and your ticket might be $15-$20 to sit wherever, but then beers are $10-$12, parking's this, and $10-$12 is kind of a cheap beer actually at a baseball game, but it gets expensive. The Oakland A's owners got what they wanted all along. They're moving. They're going to have a shiny new toy in Vegas where people will go, and it'll be a fad for a while there. Whether they're going to still be called the A's is yet to be seen. But if people thought that the A's had low attendance before, wait till next week when there's going to be nobody there. Like, you look at even Detroit earlier this week, at a midweek game in April, which is weird, and it was cold. They had there wasn't 1,000 people in that building. There's no way there was. Baseball has a major problem right now with the have and have-nots and everything else, and we'll talk about that maybe on another show. But it's sad to see that the great game of baseball has that, and they kick themselves in the teeth. And I beat this to death before, but you look at last night. A Friday night here in Canada, you have the Toronto Blue Jays, which should be Canada's team, and the New York Yankees from the Bronx, and you can't find it on television. And I know that Apple pays great money to have it, and they got the rights to a certain amount of games and everything else, but you can't find the game on national television here in Canada. You have a population of 33 million people. And yes, not all 33 million people are Jays fans or baseball fans, but you have a situation where the two marquee teams in Canada, one being the Yankees and the other being the Toronto Blue Jays, you can't find it on television. That's an absolute joke, the way that turns out. And that broadcast that they have going on there at Apple, you think with the amount of money that Apple has, they would have a research department saying what works and what doesn't work for Major League Baseball, for broadcast, because that was an absolute atrocity last night that I was watching. That expected home run rate, expected strikeout rate in the corner, and it's awful. The graphics I can do better on my Dell computer that I'm sitting here recording this on. It was an absolute abomination that Apple puts out that kind of a broadcast, and it was terrible, and you can't find it. You have to pay for it and everything else. And yes, Apple's trying to make more money, and they use the Yankees, and the Yankees get paid for it, and the Major League Baseball gets paid for it. I get it, but to basically tell an entire generation of people that they can't watch watch this game because my mother wouldn't be able to find that game. There's no way she would spend the time to do it, hitting buttons and everything else. There's no way she would take the time to find that game. So now you're having more games that aren't available to people because people get sick of looking for games. If it's not on, people are right now generation. It's a right now generation. This world, I know as a podcaster, like it's one of those things that you just if it's not good, they'll turn it off. Or if they can't find it, they'll turn it off. And that's what baseball seems to be doing to themselves. And baseball fans are taking the brunt of it. And it's too bad because that game should have been watched by millions of people across this country and was seen by 10. Right. And that's the thing. That game wasn't watched by anybody last night. That might be a good thing for Yankee fans. It wasn't a very good baseball game for the Yankees, who have a major problem with the bottom part of their lineup. And Domingo Germán wasn't good again last night. Well, he was okay last night, but that wasn't the reason why they lost. But the Yankees have a major problem with the bottom of their lineup, and we'll talk about that maybe tomorrow morning on 1420 in the morning. But it's sad to see the Oakland A's are going to be leaving. It's a bad situation there. It's too bad because, like I said, they have a great tradition there, a great fan base that people do go to the games when they're winning, and they've had a great run there in Oakland. It's too bad to see it come to an end after all these years. In fact, you look over my shoulder here, you have the swipe tag play, the Jeter play, the flip, I guess, happen in Oakland, right, with Jeremy Giambi. If he would have slid, he'd have been safe. Anyways, there's my rant for the day. Anyways, thank you very much to Belly Up Network. We are the Belly Up Media group of shows. We are number 4 for downloads since the start of the 2023 calendar year, over 12,000 now. So thank you very much to everybody who's contributed to that number. Maybe this weekend, if you listen to this show, help us go viral. Let's get to 20,000. Let's get 8,000 downloads over the weekend. Be a kind of unprecedented, but who knows? If you don't, a closed mouth never gets fed. But anyways, on this day, we'll get to those and we'll get you guys out of here. On this day in, what year was it? In 1981, Dodger rookie Fernando Valenzuela throws his third shutout in his fourth start in a 1-0 win over the Houston Astros in front of a whopping 22,830 people at the Houston Astrodome. Valenzuela also had the only RBI of the game, a 2-out single in the 5th inning off of Don Sutton of all people. Valenzuela gave up 7 hits, walked 3, struck out 11, lowered his ERA to 0.25 after 4 starts. He had 8 shutouts that season. Like, how many complete games is that? Just right there. You won't get 8 complete games out of a guy not nowadays, but he had 8 shutouts. How many complete games? Like you see, I think there's been 2 this year. It's been crazy the way the baseball's changed all that. Fernando Mania was born that season. Valenzuela went 13-7, a 2.48 ERA, struck out 180. Cy Young winner, Rookie of the Year in the National League, leading the Dodgers to a World Series championship in a strike-shortened season of 110 games in 1981. I remember it vividly. Fernando Mania, and he was looking up the sky when he threw the ball. He was something else to watch. Fernando Mania, I remember that. He was unbelievable. There's a strikeout to end that game on this day in 1981. And happy 67th birthday to Jimmy Key, born on this day in 1961 in Huntsville, Alabama. Drafted in the 3rd round to Toronto in the 82 draft. Spent 15 years in the big leagues with Toronto, the Yankees, and Baltimore, where he played his career. Stats were 186, 117 over his career, 3.51 ERA in 470 appearances, 2-time World Series champions, both against Atlanta. Actually, one was with the Jays, and then the other was with the Yankees in 1996. Jimmy Key was a great Yankee. He's a better Yankee than he was, or better Jay than he was a Yankee. But he's one of those guys that he pitched for so long for the Jays for years. He was actually a Medicine Hat Blue Jay in the Pioneer League back in the I think it's 82 or 83 when he went there. But yeah, I remember watching him play it. It's crazy how the things kind of come full circle. Anyways, thank you very much for making this part of your morning every morning. Be sure to go to Caldera Labs at calderalab.com and get yourself 20% off their men's facials. Men's skincare products that I use on a daily basis. I have that youthful exuberance back in my face. A lot going on. Tomorrow night, make sure you guys watch us. Last call, John Easthope of the Double Digit Hockey Podcast is going to join us. We're going to talk how the NHL playoffs are going so far. The Oilers are in trouble. McDavid was great last night, but the Oilers are in big trouble. They're down 2-1 in their series. But he's joining us tomorrow night for Last Call, 8 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. That'll be on. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Everybody who's watching today, thank you very much. And if you're listening to us in the podcast, make sure you tell other people listen to the podcast today. And like I said, let's see if we can't go up the ranks in the Belly Up Network of shows, because we kind of like, we really like when we we get lots of listeners, everything else, and people commenting and talking about our shows. But anyways, it's a lot of fun doing this. Have a great weekend, everybody. Saturday morning, might as well get into it a little bit. Have a good time. Watch the Yankee game today. Watch the Jays game today. Whatever you're going to watch, have a good time. I got to umpire some baseball out in Vauxhall, Alberta later on today, so that should be a lot of fun seeing Les and the guys out there. Anyways, yeah, that's it. That's all I got. It's one of those mornings. It's here at 1420 World Headquarters. Make sure you guys have a great day, and remember, it doesn't matter where you are, it's who you're with.
SeatGeek is the ticketing app for fans like Boomstick Lady. No free throw is safe from the roar of her sticks. SeatGeek helps her find a seat in the direct eye line of the shooter so she can sit where her boomsticks make the biggest boom. Everybody okay? SeatGeek handles the tickets to sports, concerts, and more, so fans can fan.
You just listened to the 1420 Sports Bar Podcast. 4 beer with sports talk and a whole lot more. We are part of the Belly Up Media Network. Let's get into it.